So one of the things that I enjoy doing, this is Jeremy Widner, by the way, is I enjoy fish. And I enjoy saltwater tanks especially, and this is my 180 gallon saltwater tank. Here's my little urchin, purple urchin. That's one of Gina's favorites right there, wearing the shell. And cherub angel. And my little judgmental fish right there. He likes to look at us and judge. And clown. There's a yellow tang. And the cool thing about saltwater is it always amazes me. The fish are so brightly decorated and colors and shapes, and they're just such objects of beauty. And even things like this. This is a coral. This is a soft coral. It's not a fish. It's not a plant. It's actually an animal. And every one of those little polyps, that's what they're called, is an individual animal. So that's a big colony. And God put all this effort and all this time in to designing such beauty that lived under the ocean. And it just always leaves me amazed. So this is a hobby that I really love. But in this hobby, because these fish are not cheap, these are not $2 fish, we do something called quarantining. We quarantine our fish. So we'll buy a fish and we put them in quarantine, which is a separate tank that's cut off from everything else and doesn't have a whole lot in it. And we observe and we watch them. And if they're sick, we treat them and we just make sure that they're going to be okay, because the last thing we want to do is put a sick fish into this tank and then have those fish infect everybody else, and then I have an absolute very, very expensive disaster. And before, it used to be, we kind of joked about quarantine and you know, it was something you did, but it was kind of funny. Well, quarantine's not so funny now that I'm living through it. But it got me to thinking. Lamentations chapter 3 verse 40 says, "Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord." You know, in quarantine, that's what we do. We sit there and we examine the fish and we pay attention to them. And if there's something wrong, we correct that. And I think that this quarantine, this time that we have right now, while it's not fun and none of us would choose to do it, does provide a unique opportunity to really examine our lives and look at them. And are we on track spiritually? It's really hard right now when we can't go to church and meet in person. And I've got to get myself up on Sunday morning, and sometimes I'm not even sure it's Sunday morning because I've lost track of time. And, you know, I got to take responsibility. And so I have opportunities to observe myself spiritually. And where I find strengths, that's a great thing. But where I find weaknesses, I need to work to improve those. And so I would encourage, while these are difficult times and nobody enjoys this, that we use this time to examine ourselves and to grow spiritually and to take responsibility for ourselves. And I believe that through all of this, God will bless us. Well, thanks for listening to my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed watching my fish, and may God bless you also.